Okay.
Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, and Organ Donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today being Wednesday, which is for our democratic reform series. So today in this series of democratic reform series, today our topic is police reforms in India. Police is an exclusive subject under the state list 2, Schedule 7 of the Constitution. However, the center is also allowed to maintain its own police force, says to assist the state with ensuring law and order. The present Indian police system is largely based on the Police Act of 1861. After independence, some states came out with their own police acts. For example, Bombay Police Act 1951, Kerala Police Act 1960, and Delhi Police Act 1978. At present, the police system in India is based on colonial law. Sometimes the British used the police as their instrument to suppress the voice of people and for their personal functions, and at present our respective governments is doing the same. Why police reforms are required in India? Reasons are as follows: huge vacancies. While the sanctioned police strength was 181 police per lakh persons in 2016, the actual strength was 137 police. This is well too low when compared with the United Nations recommended standard of 222 police per lakh persons. Further, a high percentage of vacancies within the police force worsen an existing problem of overburdened police personnel. Custodial death. There are many cases on custodial death, means death by torture, pressure in police or judicial custody. During 1996-97, in D.K. Basu judgment, the Supreme Court issued a guideline against custodial death in India. Police infrastructure, weapons, vehicles, etc. Modern policing requires strong communication support, state-of-the-art or modern weapons, and a high degree of mobility. Even the funds allotted face underutilization. Law on torture. India has only signed the United Nations Convention on Torture, but yet to pass by the Parliament. India does not have a specific law for torture. Political interference. Police officers are not able to do their work due to the interference of political leaders. There is no minimum tenure security for officers at the higher post and not even place posting security. Promotions and working conditions. Qualifications and training of police personnel are not up to the mark, especially for lower level of officials. The lower, one moment. Sorry. The lower ranks of people personnel are often verbally abused by their superiors, or they work in inhuman conditions. This non-harmonious work environment ultimately affects the relationship within the public, Structural issue. Police constable hired in the class 4 category are expected to use modern scientific technology without proper administration of training. Police reforms aim to transform the values, culture, policies, and practices of police organizations so that police can perform their duties with respect for democratic values, human rights, and the rule of law. It also aims to improve how the police interact with other parts of the security sector, such as the courts and Department of Corrections, or executive, parliamentary, or independent authorities with management or oversight responsibilities. The police reforms were introduced in the pre-independence era by the British government in 1902-1903. After independence in 1977, the Indian government set up a committee, National Police Commission. This was the first committee at the national level set up by the Indian government to report on policing. The NPC produced 8 reports between 1979 and 1981. suggesting wide-ranging reforms in the existing police setup. One of the most important recommendations is about the Model Police Act, but it was not accepted by the government. In 1996, one former DGP of Uttar Pradesh filed public interest litigation in the Supreme Court and demanded police reforms. On 22nd September 2006, the Supreme Court of India delivered its landmark judgment in the famous Prakash Singh case, mandating countrywide police reform and issuing seven crucial directives to immediately start the implementation process. Post 2006, Supreme Court created Justice Thomas Committee to review the 7 directives. In 2012-2013, Justice J.S. Verma Committee was constituted to recommend amendments to the criminal law so as to provide for quicker trial and enhanced punishment for criminally accused of committing sexual assault against women after Nirbhaya scandal. This committee has recommended certain steps to reform the police, which include the establishment of the State Security Commission to ensure that the state government does not influence the state police, which should be headed by the Chief Minister or Home Minister, and also stated the 7 directives of the Supreme Court. And the 7 directives of the Supreme Court are: limit political control, ensure that the state government does not exercise unwarranted influence or pressure on the police, appointment based on merit, ensure that the Director General of Police is appointed through a merit-based, transparent process and secures a minimum tenure of 2 years. Fix minimum tenure, ensure that the other police officers on operational duties, including superintendents of police in charge of a district and station house officers in charge of a police station, are also provided with a minimum tenure of 2 years. Separate police functions. Separate the functions of investigation and maintaining law and order. Set up fair and transparent systems. Set up a police establishment board to decide and make recommendations on transfers, postings, promotions, and other service-related matters of police officers of and below the rank of Deputy Superintendent of Police. Establish a police complaints authority in each state. At the state level, there should be a police complaint authority to look into public complaints against police officers of and above the rank of Superintendent of Police in cases of serious misconduct, including custodial death, grievous hurt, or rape in police custody. At the district level, the police complaints authority should be set up to inquire into police complaints against the police personnel of and up to the rank of Deputy Superintendent of Police in case of serious misconduct. Set up a selection commission. A National Security Commission needs to be set up at the union level to prepare a panel for selection and placement of chiefs of the central police organizations with a minimum tenure of 2 years. Niti Aayog suggested the following reforms: state level legislative reforms. States should be encouraged with fiscal incentives to introduce the Model Police Act of 2015 as it modernized the mandate of the police. Administrative and operational reform. A task force must be created under the MHA to identify non-core functions that can be outsourced to save on manpower and help in reducing the workload of the police. Functions such as serving court summons and antecedents and addresses verification for passport applications or job verifications can be outsourced to private agents or government departments. The state should be encouraged to ensure that the representation of women in the police force is increased. India should launch a common nationwide contact for attending to the urgent security needs of the citizens. Niti Aayog also suggests moving police as well as public order to the concurrent list to tackle increasing interstate crime and terrorism under a unified framework. Unfortunately, not much has changed in the way policing is done in India. Despite widespread disenchantment and discontent with the functioning of the police force, the cause of reform has not captured the imagination of Indians. Is it because of inadequate apprehension of the importance of good policing for the health of a vibrant democratic society with economic potential to develop into a world power? Or is it sheer apathy a feeling of having given up, possibly a mix of both. And to discuss this very, very important and relevant topic, police reforms in India, first, I would like to take the views of a citizen of India, although everyone is citizen of India, but a normal general citizen of India, how he feels about the police and the policing in India. And then we will go to our expert panelist, although he is also expert, but in a different field, but those experts on the policing. So I would like to invite my first panelist guest, Dr. Naveen Gupta. Dr. Naveen Gupta is the director of Hindustan Institute of Management and Computer Studies, HIMCS, Sharda Group of Institutions, Mathura. Dr. Naveen Gupta is a leading behavioral scientist, trainer, management consultant, and therapist. Dr. Gupta, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Gupta, you being a director of a reputed institution, you are training and teaching MBA or students equivalent to that students. But as you are saying that you have also suggested that you would like to raise few points as far as the police is concerned. So we would like to know your views on police reforms in India. Dr. Naveen Gupta, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lal Goel, sir.
Can you just turn your mobile down, please? Just put it down towards yourself so that you can come up, so your face can be, yes, yes, and just on one side, the other side, so that you can come in the center. The other side, you can shift to other side if you cannot move the camera. No,
Is it okay?
No. I'm not saying up. I'm saying or shifting on one side. You just shift from your chair on one side. Shift your chair on one side. Yes, please. Now your camera has to be up. You have made it very down. Just a little more. Yes, that's it. Fine. Thank you. Please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Lal Goel. Though you have already mentioned, as we all know, police personnel, police force is the strongest pillar of the democracy and the custodian of the constitution. I don't know what to talk because police personnel are also part of the society. What is wrong in a man of India is wrong with the police personnel also. In general, we need national rebuilding, national character building. But you have already mentioned about the Dr. Prakash Singh, IPS officer, Supreme Court ruling on police reform. So that is the, I think, crux. We may discuss, but application, education is really, that has to be done. The 7 directives, which you have mentioned already, but if we talk about what need to be changed, first, servant of the people, not masters. They are not the master. To a ruler, police say, unka role has to be changed now as a public police. Police se jo security, if I talk as a layman, wo ek image rebuilding की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. Though I'm not saying, I don't know, there might be some initiative of the people those are sitting here also. A big community participation since last 2 years. I am just observing. They are coming to the students also. They talk about the cyber crime. They discuss about women से भी बात करते हैं, बच्चों से बात करते हैं, बड़े friendly manner से. But change is very slow, which need to be reinforced. They have to be motivated. They seems to be now very friendly. If I meet to the any IPS officers now, तो my fear as an academician is not that much. वो भी थोड़ा सा लगता है कि ये कुछ हम में से लोग हैं. तो वो जो सारी बातें कहती प्रकाश सिंह के जो 7 डायरेक्टिव्स थे कि माय बाप कॉलोनिकल हैंगओवर दैट हैज टू बी, कैसे होगा कैसे नहीं होगा. मैं I was in Dubai, so I was surprised कि Dubai police is known for very good. But whenever they come, किसी भी छोटी से छोटी कंप्लेंट में आप करेंगे, सबसे पहले आके कहेंगे वालेकुम सलाम, then कैफे हाल, and they don't spare any criminals, but they are soft, so soft in talk. हमारे यहाँ थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है कि जब तक भोकाल ना दिखाया जाए, वर्दी का भोकाल ना दिखाया जाए, तब तक जो है nobody will take you seriously. Maybe they are right, क्योंकि that may be the mindset of the public also. They don't want to change. तो उनका एक थोड़ा सा दूसरा चीज जो मेरे को लगता है in civilian behavior, even of the senior officers, the way they talk, तो वो ऊपर से नीचे तक ऐसे ही डायरेक्शन होता है.
Sorry, Dr. Gupta. See, this is live telecast. You have to be in the frame. You are going out. Please come in the center. And yes, yes. Now it's okay. At least your face can be seen. Nah? Otherwise, yes. Please go ahead.
It is okay. So वो जो एक परसेप्शन पब्लिक के दिमाग में बन गया है, that has to be somehow, वो कैसे होगा, क्या होगा, ये पता इतने इम्पोर्टेंट इश्यू है कि आई वॉज इन एक इनिशिएटिव था यहाँ पर आईजी आगरा का, तो ही वांटेड मी कि भाई जितना भी हमारा पुलिस फोर्स है उनको थोड़ा सा आप ट्रेन कीजिएगा. एज ए बिहेवियरल साइंटिस्ट आई वाज इन अ ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम विद देम. आई यूज्ड टू गो सीतापुर आल्सो. राजेश श्रीवास्तव साहब ही यूज्ड टू कॉल मी. तो उनका एक ही सवाल था, कहने के एक कांस्टेबल, फीमेल कांस्टेबल का, कि why we have got such type of impression that, उसके words तो I would like to quote in हिंदी, कि पुलिस की नौकरी झंड फिर भी इतना घमंड. That speaks a lot. That speaks a lot. I was talking about the incivilian behavior of the senior officers. Whenever they talk, they use so many foul language. And perhaps मुझे ऐसा लगता है उनकी पर्सनल लाइफ में भी, I may be wrong also in my own perception, कि उनकी पर्सनल लाइफ में भी जो उनका न्यूरो लिंग्विस्टिक साइकोलॉजी है वो बहुत ज्यादा है. बिकॉज आई डील विद द मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज. काउंसलिंग केसेस को तो पूरे दिमाग में घूमते रहते हैं, तो पूरे दिमाग में इनके क्राइम और फिर वो जो फाउल लैंग्वेज है और वो कहीं ना कहीं शेयरिंग. मैं जितने भी पुलिस ऑफिसर्स हैं या हमारे जो एमबी के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, बच्चे काम कर रहे हैं, मैं कहता हूं व्हाटएवर द सिस्टम में बी टू मच बैड आउटसाइड, बट व्हेन यू आर इन हाउस तो डोंट. क्योंकि इन प्लीज विद ड्यू रिगार्ड्स, आई हैव सीन they have a different kind of mindset. The children of the police officer, not of the police officer, all जितने भी bureaucracy के लोग होते हैं different kind का, but there are few very sensitive people. They know how to handle such type of thing. The another issue which I feel very, very important, that is the mental health issues. We don't bother, we don't have time to discuss about the personal life of any subordinate. मे बी आप भी बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर्स में हैं, मे बी जो पॉलिटिकल नेक्सस है वो उनको एक मजबूरी भी बन जाता है हाउ टू हैंडल. तो वो जो एक मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यू की, जैसे अभी सीआरपीएफ ने स्टार्ट किया है आफ्टर दिस एपिसोड ऑफ द छत्तीसगढ़, तो वो एक काउंसलिंग चौपाल जो एक इनिशिएटिव है, दैट्स अ वंडरफुल इनिशिएटिव. एजुकेशन कैसे होगा मुझे नहीं पता, कि हर ऑफिसर अपने सबऑर्डिनेट से 20-30 का एक ग्रुप बना के दे स्टार्ट टॉकिंग एज द फर्स्ट एड ऑफ साइकोलॉजिकल ऑन साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज. दैट हैज टू बी रीइंफोर्स्ड, दैट हैज टू बी इनकल्केटेड इन द police officers also, because as a counselor I keep on having number of cases, especially इनके जो बच्चों में जो इशू आता है, एग्रेशन का इशू आता है, न्यूरोटिक इश्यूज आते हैं, उस पे बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है कि एक हमें इनको साइकोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट दिया जाए. वी ऑल नो द इश्यूज. छुट्टी का प्रॉब्लम है, दिवाली इनकी नहीं मनती है, होली इनके नहीं मनते हैं, एंड वी आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड, वी हैव रेस्पेक्ट फॉर द पुलिस ऑफिसर. पुलिस ऑफिसर का जो रोल है वो इट इज जस्ट लाइक ऑक्सीजन. जस्ट इमेजिन, आई अंडरस्टैंड वेरी वेल, जस्ट इमेजिन कि अगर पुलिस ना हो तो पुलिस का रोल जब सामने होते नहीं दिखाई देता है, बट व्हेन दे आर नॉट, तो इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी में जो इनका रोल है दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. लेकिन ये जो हमारा है कि कैसे इनको सॉफ्ट स्किल्स के लिए ट्रेन किया जाए. An innocent person should feel confident in presence of you. पर हमारे देश में थोड़ा उल्टा ही हो रहा है. जो इनोसेंट आदमी है, जो शरीफ आदमी है, वो घबराता है. Criminals, they don't bother about the police officer. They go and just meet and talk. वो थाने में सबसे बड़ा इश्यू है. एक कभी सीतापुर में एक ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में था विद द सब इंस्पेक्टर्स. तो मैंने कहा हम लोगों को इतना डाउन द लाइन, क्योंकि ये स्टेट के अंदर में आता है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इट शुड बी अंडर द सेंट्रल लेवल. और क्रॉस कल्चरल एक थोड़ा सा इनको एक्सपोजर देने के लिए दे शुड बी ट्रांसफर्ड. अ पुलिस ऑफिसर फ्रॉम नॉट कांस्टेबल ऑफ यूपी, टिपिकल यूपी, he is posted, वो पॉलिटिकल अपना नेक्सस बना के उसी एरिया में रहता है, मेनपुर, इटावा, of a particular caste, वहीं घूमते हैं without naming of any particular caste, and then they become hero if the particular person of their caste is the CM, and then उसका जो खेल तांडव शुरू होता है वो very मतलब इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते हम उन सब चीजों को. तो इन सब चीजों पे थोड़ा सा हमें फोकस करें. सॉफ्ट स्किल्स का हमें ध्यान कर सकते हैं. एक ऑलरेडी सारे बहुत सारे इसमें आया हुआ. Even when we see a police, I mean down, जो नीचे IPS ऑफिसर नीचे के रैंक के लोगों को आप देखेंगे, look at their body language, look at their body. अभी एक IPS ऑफिसर ने बॉम्बे में तो शुरू किया ही था डाइट पे, डाइट कंट्रोल, वाइफ को इन्वॉल्व किया, लेडीज को, कि क्या आप खाने में देते हैं. उनकी भी मजबूरियां है. They should be also like जितना भी रैली ये प्रोसेशन है, इसमें अननेसेसरी इतना ड्यूटी, वीआईपी ड्यूटीज. जरूरत कहाँ है? क्राइम कंट्रोल, ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल. लेकिन आई हैव सीन, विदाउट नेमिंग, लेट मी स्पीक बोल्डली आल्सो, आई वाज टॉकिंग इन योर लास्ट शो आल्सो, कि भाई एक जस्टिस, ही इज गोइंग फॉर अ पर्सनल शॉपिंग ऑफ हाई कोर्ट, इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट, एंड उसके 2 गाड़ी पीछे पुलिस की, 2 गाड़ी उसके सामने, और सामने उसके सिकंदरा चौराहे पे जाम लगा हुआ है. तो रोल ऑफ द पुलिस ऑफिसर, मतलब दे आर नॉट टू बी ब्लेम्ड, पर एक इस तरीके का बन गया है. तो हाउ वी कैन चेंज ये ऑल दिस थिंग्स, as I have given the example of the CRPF, so we have to start counseling center also for them.
Okay,
And
so I think Dr. Gupta will, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Gupta, for raising few issues. I will just want to say something because you have raised some very, very important thing. First thing, we should also appreciate the police, the way the police constable, if we are talking of police constable, he is standing in a whether hot summer or rains or winter, cold winter, on a chorha, on a level or the crossing, and with full of pollution. I am sure any one of us who are not in police department can not stand there for 10 or 15 minutes if all the cars are going or trucks are going here and there with full of pollutions which is coming. So this is a basic difference in India and other countries. There is no pollution, so the police can work smoothly. This was first thing. Second, you have mentioned about you see the condition, pathetic condition I have seen in Mumbai. The housing condition of police constables or the sub-inspectors, etc. They are not getting any housing near to their police station. They are staying 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers away. They have to travel every day in the morning. Their duty hours are not there. Police is working 24/7. Festivals, we celebrate Holi, Diwali, Eid, Christmas. For them, they are on the road. And I will tell you, one of the police officers, she's a young IPS officer posted in West Bengal. She was on my show, one of the earlier show, and she mentioned that in COVID, if your everything was saved, your establishment, your shops was saved, this is because of police. Because for thieves or for dacoits, this is the right time because everything is empty. They can take out anything. But the police was doing work day and night to safeguard all of us, our properties also. So we have to definitely consider this aspect very seriously, okay, what we are providing to them. Then you have mentioned about the mindset of police officer. I disagree with you, Dr. Gupta, with due respect to you. Ms. Bhaguna knows my connection. My sister-in-law is also a senior IPS officer. She is now retired, 77 batch. We never found anything in her At least I have seen, and I've seen many IPS officers, lady IPS officers, gents, that they use a foul language at home. They are more courteous, more down to earth than a normal housewife or any other service class lady. They have no airs in their thing, and their children's, with due respect again to you, they are highly qualified. I have seen, so I can vouch. There are cases where, few cases where someone is having problems for due to some other reasons. As far as you have made a very good point about the transfer, but the transfer for the IPS officers, yes, within a state, and they can go on deputation to other state or to the central government. But for the constable to transfer to other state, the problem is the language. The biggest problem is language. They cannot write what is happening in other state. That is the things. But yes, you have made points that they require more counseling, especially the lower staff and lower constabulary, etc. And they require we should give some mental health thing. So when we will discuss more, and when I will come back to you, we will have more questions to you also. And then we will see how the police reforms can be done. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for giving your opening remarks and making the very important points. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and she is Miss Aruna Bhauguna. Miss Aruna Bhauguna is the former director of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, Hyderabad. She joined the Indian Police Services in 1979, the first woman in this service in the erstwhile United Andhra Pradesh. Miss Aruna Bhauguna, you have heard what Dr. Naveen Gupta has mentioned as a behavioral scientist, as well as he is a director of a very famous MBA institute, management institute. So his reservation, because he is giving his views because he hails from UP. I also hails from UP, and the conditions in UP and other states are different as far as police. I have seen in Mumbai lots of difference, in Karnataka difference. Now, we would like to know your views on police reforms in India. Miss Aruna Bhauguna, please. Yes, please.
Good morning, Mr. Goel, and good morning, Dr. Gupta, and to all the viewers here. To start with, I have heard two views. I have heard Dr. Gupta and I have heard Mr. Goel. Now, unfortunately, I know it is not only in India, but I think all over the world, there is a very definite mindset against police, because the nature of policing work is such that it deals only with negative kind of work. It is like a mother. Between mother and father, if you see the parents at home, mother is always checking the child for doing something wrong. Father is there for taking the child to go bahar shopping ke liye, ya movie ke liye, ya, to have fun, to play games. So this is really, in fact, when I joined the police, many of our senior officers used to say, if you are a good police officer, the public should hate you. The public should not like you. This was the old mindset. Now, of course, historically in India, we have come down from the British. I don't want to go into all that details, where the police was used to suppress the public, to put them down, to keep them under control, to keep away whatever law and order issues which are associated with our freedom struggle. Now, the same khaki uniform, the same badges of rank, the same kind of cap, the same ranks, starting, of course, then it was IG, now it is DG, down to constable, the same image continues. And even now, like I keep telling people, if the child is not drinking his milk, खाना जल्दी खा लो, दूध पी लो, नहीं तो हम पुलिस वाले को बुलाएंगे. Homework आप नहीं करे तो homework नहीं करे, हम पुलिस वाले को बुलाएंगे. If the policeman is walking on the road, देखो पुलिस वाला उधर है, वो आपको पकड़ के ले जाएगा. So from childhood, we also instill a kind of hate and a kind of fear of the police. I agree there should be a fear of law. There should be, but more than fear, I feel there should be a respect for law. I was very happy in some schools when they teach, they would take them to the assembly or they would show them parliament, small children. And they'll say, see, this is the place where the rules are made, because children don't understand what is law. They know rules. They'll say, this is where rules are made, that you should walk on the left side of the road. You should drive on the left side of the road. You should stop at the traffic light. When there's a red light, you should stop. So children are taught from a very young age uh, how to respect the police and to understand why laws are there. Now, Dr. Gupta, I would like to ask you one thing. I mean, you have spoken. Yes, I agree. There is a lot of truth in what you have spoken. The image of the police till today is corrupt, inefficient, full of that pride and full of hava kind of that. That is all I agree. But you look at the common man. I live in a city called Hyderabad. There are cameras everywhere. We are supposed to be the city with the largest number of CCTV camera coverage in public places. At a red traffic signal, if there is no policeman, 90% of the time, people will not stop. They will look like this. ठीक है, police वाला नहीं है, चलो, traffic, there is nothing coming opposite side, let us go. This inbuilt respect for the law is not there. Now, having said all this, I feel that yes, there is a great need for police reform in India. Right from 1902, it started during the British time. There was a commission. Mr. Goel has given the whole history of police reform, so I will not repeat. But yes, right from Dharamvira to Padmanabha, to every Brahmero, all the commissions, all the committees which have been there have suggested several changes. I think the crux of the whole thing, it is like if you have a house which is full of dirt and crumbling inside, you whitewash the outside. So at Bahar say it looks very grand and posh, but inside it is the same feature and, cockroaches and makode and everything. It is of no use. So the main crux of the whole thing is that who is the boss? Who is the boss of the policeman today? Aapne kaha UP mein, if he gets the same caste, if the CM is the same caste and the constable is a SHO is the same caste, how the behavior changes. So ultimately, every police commission has suggested the same thing. You have in some countries, Japan, in the US, the person who ultimately the highest officer in India for any police, any state is the DGP. Who is the boss of the DGP? It is the Home Minister and the Chief Minister. Now we are seeing more and more and more everywhere that they are only working at the behest of this political boss. Now on paper, we have many things. For example, the DGP is chosen, a panel of names of all the senior most officers is sent to the UPSC. The UPSC prepares a panel of 3 names, and those 3 names are sent back to the state. Out of those 3 names, the Chief Minister selects one. And he or she is given a tenure of 2 years. But if there is any administrative, there is a clause. If there is an administrative reason, he or she can be, the DGP can be changed. Now, and we have seen it happen also in many cases. Now, look at this whole, this was thanks to Mr. Prakash Singh. He went to great pains. He is one of our most, iconic police officers who is living today, who has, I think, done the maximum for the police service. And now this whole procedure, when the names are sent, the state, supposing the CM, Chief Minister, has somebody who he wants made he already knows in his mind who he wants to make the DGP. And more often than not, what is happening in the states is they make him the DGP, then the names are sent, and it is a process of regularizing that name. Now, the Chief Secretary of that state also sits on the board in the UPSC. Why should the Chief Secretary sit in that board? If the UPSC is going to make a totally impartial, clinical decision, all the annual, what an annual confidential report is, every year for every police, every officer from every government officer, from the time they join service, every year, an annual confidential report. It is now called annual performance appraisal because it is no longer confidential. So a performance appraisal is made every year. That whole file is there with the UPSC. They can see what the reports are. They can see the vigilance reports, whether there is any vigilance suspicion or any allegation or inquiry going on against the officer. All this is there. But the Chief Secretary sits in that meeting. Now, the Chief Secretary is also appointed by the Chief Minister. Obviously, the Chief Secretary's job there is to tell the UPSC कि इसको panel में कैसा लाना ही होगा. So every time they will take some new thing. How many, sometimes they will say, how many field postings has the person done? Maximum, chalo, to uska naam aa gaya panel mein. Sometimes they will say, this man has invested maximum number of cases. Some criteria each time, which will suit. You know, you're cutting the cloth to suit, to make a coat which will fit that person. I want to make Mr. Lal Goel the DGP of State X. So I will see what Mr. Lal Goel has done in his annual performance appraisal as good. He was good at law and order. He was good at, so I will say, Acha, he's good at, so it is very important for a DGP to be good at so-and-so subject. So Mr. Lal Goel's name will come in the panel. Whether Mr. Lal Goel is 9 batches junior or 5 batches or 3 batches junior, his name is in the panel. So when it comes to the Chief Minister, the Chief Minister says, this is the one and I am choosing Mr. Goel. So that is what is actually happening on the ground. So everything, all the reforms which we have so far are very good on paper. They sound very good. The court in all, in good faith has made these laws, but as they say, following a law has to be in letter and in spirit. You can follow it in letter, but if the spirit is not there, it can always be something else. Now you're talking about transfers of lower level. All the states have got what is got boards, PEBs. They are supposed to be doing the transfers of all these lower DSP below postings. Theoretically, it is all done by the PEB. But what happens on the ground? The local MLA, the local MP, they prepare a list. And this list is given to the whoever is heading the PEB. They look at that list and then they try to, as far as possible, match it with what the local officer wishes to do. So again, the political hand is still very strong. So what I'm saying is, unless we are really totally freed of this political hand, this political control, overall control, there is not going to be any great change. That is the first greatest reform that is required in the policing system today. What you have mentioned about training, there is a huge difference in training. I can say I was in training in the state. At that time, as Mr. Goel said, it was one state. Andhra Pradesh was one state. It had not yet been divided into Telangana, Andhra. So I was IG training here. Again, I was in CRPF, where I handled the Northeast and Central zones, and we conducted all kinds of, small training programs at our level. And then again, finally, I was the DG of National Police Academy, where all IPS officers of all ranks from ASP to DGP come for different courses. We have totally opened up. In fact, when I was there, my idea was expose the probationers, expose the officers to all kinds of people. So we would get sex worker, rescued sex worker. We would get rescued children, runaway children, reformed, rehabilitated Maoist. So we from the street, we would get beggars. Then on the other spectrum, we got from Niti Aayog, RBI governor. We got film actors like Akshay Kumar, Nasiruddin Shah, Prakash Jha. RBI governor was Raghuram Rajan, Niti Aayog, Mr. Panagaria. Different walks of life. We got poets, writers, authors, different people to come and speak to the police, to the officers, and tell them what are their ideas. We even had a documentary film festival, a 2-day documentary film festival, to show different aspects. What is the role of police in education, with school children, with college children. What is your role? What do you have to do? So the training has drastically changed. And as far as qualifications now, almost everywhere, graduation is the minimum qualification required. So they are educated, they are, and they come from the same backgrounds as you and me. If you look around, Dr. Gupta, you will find कि आपके पड़ोस के, बच्चे UPSC exam लिख रहे हैं, and they can tomorrow become IAS or IPS or IFS officers. So as they say, you get the government, you deserve. In the same way, you get the police, you deserve. So these are people who are coming from society. They are not suddenly narak se khinch ke, we are not taking them out of hell and bringing these Rakshasas and planting them there. If they become Rakshasas or if they become Devtas, some become Devtas, some become Rakshasas. So then it is the society which, or the circumstances which make them into this or that. So I agree there is a huge need for reforms. And as I said, the first and most important reform required for us is this independence for the police. Unless that comes, today we are seeing more and more, कोई murder case हुआ, अगर वो हमारा आदमी है तो किसी तरह उसको छोड़ देना है. There is no evidence, we burn the evidence, we destroy the evidence, and we say there is no evidence to be done. I know there was some years ago, there was a terrible rape case. I mean, not rape, this girl and boy took poison. They had a marriage pact and the parents were not agreeing. They both supposedly drank suicide. The boy very cleverly took few sips and spat out the poison. The girl drank the poison on an empty stomach and she came to the hospital. This is a very big corporate hospital. And she is supposed to have said that I was raped by the boy who had promised to marry her and 4 others. It was a gang rape. Nobody took, on record, that was not brought on record by the doctor. All her clothes were taken and burnt in the hospital incinerator. And the mother shouted herself hoarse, कि मेरी बेटी का ऐसा हुआ, ऐसा हुआ, ऐसा हुआ. Finally, the girl died of that poison. She went into a coma, she died. And ultimately, nothing came. It was put down as a suicide case. The rape was not even, there was no evidence to show she was raped. So what I'm saying is now why at that time the talk was that the 4 who were raped were very influential people. They were sons of some people who had a great deal of influence. So this is the kind of thing which the lengths we are willing to go to. If we...
Your video is off.
Sorry,
Yes.
So this is the kind of thing which the police is willing to go to. And we are seeing more and more. You are saying, I don't want to go into specifics because it will lead to political,
yes.
I don't want to get into the political, this party or that party. I feel all parties do it. All politicians are doing it. All leaders are doing this. All rich people, regardless of political backing, are doing it. Corruption, when there is corruption, if the CM wants to save you, he will just ignore it. There have been instances where media, journalists, investigative journalists have unearthed some child's marriage has happened. They have given the list of all the marriage ke bills in this 5-star hotel, and the bill is cleared by some business fellow. But the chief minister says, it is not brought to my notice. I will not take cognizance of it. So this is the kind, unless we are freed of this. And why has that come to us? That has come to us from the British days. In the British days, they were controlling the police as an instrument of subjugation because they didn't want India to be free. And the same model, the same 1861 Police Act is continuing till today. Everybody says we want reforms. Some states have got some model police acts, of course, but that state police act can never supersede the central act. It has to be subservient. So unless we are freed of this political bosses, I don't think anything can come.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Bahuguna, for giving your views. And Ms. Bahuguna, before I will summarize her, I would like to inform our viewers the image of police is always strict and stubborn and whatnot. But Ms. Bahuguna, during the COVID time, she supplied so many things like food, even for chappal, sleepers, to all those migrant workers who are running from one place to another, going to their native places. She has done so much work, and that is what is one should understand. They are also human beings, and but they have to be strict if they have to enforce the law, because law has to be very strict. But to make an image that all are like this, I think I know many of them, and they have done so good work. Hats off to them. Thank you very much. And plus, what Ms. Bhoguna said, very important point is, until unless the police force will not be independent, free from the political interference, this whatsoever reforms we are talking stands nowhere. And whatsoever we have grievances against the police force, it is because the interference of the political leadership or the political interference. If it will not be there, then police is such, then they says that agar police chahe to ek bhi chori nahi ho sakti kahin bhi, and this is fact also. They have that much power, they have that much intelligence network, they knows each and everything, but they are handicapped, their hands are tied because of the political interference. Thank you very much, Ms. Bhoguna, for giving your views. Now, I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Mr. M. Harisena Verma, IPS. Mr. M. Harisena Verma is of 1985 West Bengal cadre officer. He worked in various capacities in West Bengal till 2004, when he joined Government of India. He was SP of Bibhum district and North 24 Parganas district, which was the largest district in India in terms of population. He served as United Nations Police Monitor in Mozambique in 1994. From 2004 till 2019 December, when he retired, he worked under Ministry of Home Affairs in Delhi, Trivandrum, Agartala, and Chennai. He is a recipient of UN Peacekeeping Medal in 1994, Indian Police Medal in 2001, President's Police Medal in 2009, and Ati Utkrisht Seva Padak in 2020 post-retirement. He has written a 500-page analysis on Gita in Malayalam, which was published by DC Books. He is continuing research, study, and writing on Gita. He has also published several poems, short stories, and articles in Malayalam and in English. Welcome, Mr. M. Harisen Verma on our show. Mr. Verma, you have heard Dr. Naveen Gupta, and you have also heard Ms. Aruna Bhoguna. Both have given their views, as well as the report which I read initially. We would like to know from you a view about the police reforms in India. Mr. M. Harisen Verma, please.
Good morning, Mr. Goel. Good morning to my fellow panelists, Dr. Gupta, Aruna Bhoguna, Madam, and others. And thank you for inviting me to this discussion. There's no doubt that police in India needs urgent, large-scale reforms. One reason, as Madam Bhoguna told, that the laws supervising the police are from the colonial period. They were based on the possibly the Irish constabulary then, and not on the British police itself, which was much more humane, had a lot of reforms under Mr. Peel. So they were people friendly. Here it was a colonial suppressive force. That is, it was meant to be that. So there was need for reforms after independence. But what has happened is that there has been no reforms and there has been more deterioration. I will come to that, why there is more deterioration in certain aspects. Maybe there's some improvement somewhere, but the deterioration is obvious. So what happened was that the rulers of the independent India in the center and the states, they also wanted to use the police in the same way as the British were using. The attitude didn't change. And there was several other Westerners also who wanted and wants the police to be like this one. They won't tell it openly, but they all want it to be this so that their interest will be served. Here we have to think in the larger framework of criminal-judicial system of India. There are four arms, as we all know: police, prosecution, judiciary, and prisons. So it is the need of these Western interests to keep this criminal judicial system under their some control or other, and so that their Western interest will be served. It is not for the serving the interest of the people. Now, politicians are not the only problem, but they are one major problem. And how they are the problem and why they are very particularly interested in police. You know that in most of the states, the chief minister is the home minister himself and in charge of the police directly. And the ruling political party always wants the police to be police department to be under that party only, the dominant political party, even in an alliance. Why? Why everybody wants police to be under its total control? Why different Western interests want? One is this the fact that, say, I will just anecdotally tell, in West Bengal when we went, people are telling that police is the government after 6 o'clock in the evening till 10 o'clock in the morning. No other government office functions at that time. So everybody comes to the police for anything connected with, say, bad roads, or there's some electricity failure, there's some marital discord, everything. And police has solved many of these things silently without registering a case even. I mean, there's no case cognizable thing here, but the police has that extra work they do. And a lot of silent good work the policemen of all ranks do, especially of the lower level, which we generally not notice. So that way, police is highly valued in the society and is highly valued for the politicians and other Westerners also. Now, again, police is the one organization within the government which is not fully under the political executive. Very interesting thing. Police is partly under the judiciary in case of, in the matter of investigation. Here, in case of investigation, the chief minister, home minister, nobody can order the police to do any change. The investigating officer, the master, and his superior officers all have that same power under law, but not anybody other than the direct superiors. Definitely not the political bosses or bureaucratic bosses. So this is creating some rancor and some urgent need for these Western interests, because they cannot influence police if this independence is more stressed under the judiciary. So somehow or other, they want to pressurize the police. Say, another Western interesting thing is that the police, as you told, the housing of the police officers, they are not cared for. They have to come from a long distance. Police stations themselves are in a very bad shape. Equipments are not given. Why? It is partly intentional also. The money sent to government, state governments for modernization or policing, they're partly spent only. I mean, as you have rightly told. Why? Because one reason police is not spending on the police is not immediately fetching any votes. So it's not satisfying any vote bank. Another thing is that they want the politicians, or more than that, bureaucracy. Here I will say bureaucratic officers. They want the police to be under their thumb all the time for asking, requesting, begging for any equipment, for housing, finance. The budget may have sanctioned all these things, but to release even a small amount, they have to approach the bureaucracy. The financial independence. There should be financial independence to a great degree to the DGP and down below. That's not given intentionally. So that police is kept under control. So these type of Western interests, all these whom I have told, they are all what happens, what is creating this need for reforms. And who will reform the police? These very same people. The same people, or the political executive, the bureaucracy, the criminal judicial system, including the judiciary, and the police officers themselves. And also, again, comes the media and the common people also. Of that, other than, say, other than the common people and maybe the media, where they may not have that much self-interest, others all have some best interest or other to keep the system running like this. So, under Sri Prakash Singh's judgment of the Supreme Court in 2006, several very well thought out instructions were given, but none of them have been really complied with. But unfortunately, no pursuance has come from any level, including the judicial level also. So the state governments and central governments, they have not complied with it. They have tried to escape from it by using one ruse or other. So then that's the fate of all these commissions. The National Police Commission, very exhaustive reports, which if implemented would have really transformed the police. So there has been hardly any police reforms worth it. Like Madam Bhumna told, only whitewashing outside, the crumbling by these termites. It's going on inside silently, and it's in a very bad shape. But in the colonial period, it was not that much bad, I must say, because there was some reform. 1861 was the Indian Police Act. Then after that, 1902, there was some commission and the DAG post was created and all this. So they had done something. But then, at that time, there was more respect for law. Now, as Madam told, what we need is not fear of law. Maybe, yes, there can some fear of law, I feel, but there should be more respect for law. Here again, I will say anecdotically, in West Bengal, interestingly, it's the state where authority is least respected in India. That's my feeling. And there, you see, what happened, the independence movement started first in Bengal. Though they have an interesting name for all these agitation. They would say Ain Aman. I mean, disrespecting the law. Who is doing it? The local MLA or sometimes the serving minister himself also will start Ain Amanyu. So it is what is taught from all levels after independence. Just before, as a continuation of the independence movement, say distortion of its ideas that Ain Aman law is made by the same legislatures, MLAs and all. Then their MPs and all, they are openly asking people to violate it. And who is trying to prevent it? The police. So naturally, there's a dislike to the police, and then even if police acts, there's a negativity on it, and if doesn't act or slow in acting, then there's again criticism. So it's in a catch-22 situation, as you told. It is 24/7 working and all the holidays, everything low. But then there's no compensation. They are kept like this. Why? They are asked to compensate through corruption. The Westerners want police to be corrupt. So Anna Hazare's movement, that was, see, after that we have not only police, other places also, Lok Adalat, Lok Ayukt or Lok Pal, and it's watered down like this police reform. And what is the difference between a democratic India and a democratic and highly developed countries? Democracy is fine, equal or good, but then the middle and lower level corruption, that's not there in Europe or America and all. They're all democratic. What we lack is this. Maybe there could be a corruption there at the highest level. That doesn't affect the common man that much. So the one major thing for reform policy is the reduction of corruption. And after independence, corruption has increased. In West Bengal, again, I will tell, in say 1950s or 60s, among the district SPs, maybe one or two were corrupt. That everybody in the other IPS officers, they knew also. But now, so the senior officers were telling us when we were in the 80s, we were there as probationers and young officers. They were telling 80s and 90s. Now there are only one or two officers heading district who are not corrupt. Whole thing has changed. And that was the Congress rule. I'm not asking, speaking for any party. Or 1950s and 60s, so after the independence under Jawaharlal Nehru, there was some better governance in many states. There were very good chief ministers, Rajagopalachari, Kamaraj here, and then there was Ravi Shankar Shukla in Madhya Pradesh. The things were not so bad. Dr. B.C. Roy, a great chief minister in West Bengal. Now things have changed. Of course, there are some good chief ministers now also. The things are coming up. Development is going on. But then these, they were better. And now, after 60s and all, there was big deterioration in Bengal. And especially under the Communist Party, I must say, here again I have to name, there the command control of the policing was distorted. They made police associations who report and work for them within the policing. So they were controlling the police to different degrees, from top and from within also, for their best interests. Like Madam told, if a murder case is there, there's no case. So I know I have gone and started the case, arrested. Very few people have done boldly, I know. So very few people, in other districts I have seen, they have not done it. So this is continuing now. This is the trend in most of the states in the last 20 years or 30 years. At that time, Bengal was notorious for that. So there is more deterioration after independence because these Westerners are more and more trying. At that time, it was only the British colonial Westerners. Now there are so many, like this political, executive, bureaucracy, and all judiciary and criminal judicial system also included. And media also comes, and many sections of the common citizen and police officer. They don't want these reforms at all. That's why reforms are not happening. And one, 2-3 more points I may say. One is the recruitment. The deterioration starts from the recruitment. Mostly recruitment is over money. That for constable and SA, and it's all money exchanged hands. So I mean, unless we make recruitment transparent. It is my experience. Maybe there's improvement in other places. So unless that is made transparent, things are not going to improve. The same fellow will continue till retirement. The same corrupt fellow will do much more after giving money to enter. They will get much more money. They will impose people, excuse people, and training. In training is the least most neglected aspect, especially in the National Police Academy and all. Very good officers are brought as directors and other staff. But in other state police academies and all, and most of the academies are neglected, and it's like considered like a punishment posting for police officers. So training has to be properly done, and then the character building has to be done. Even at the time of recruitment, some assessment of the character is needed from the ranks of IPS downwards. So that's not done. So that lacuna makes many of the younger officers also, they are not feeling like this. They all say everybody are corrupt. Let us make some the hay while the sun shines. I mean, young IPS officers even, and constabulary is in the worst state. We have to change the structure of the constabulary, higher education for the recruitment. Well, it was told fine, and there should be better promotional aspect. In other countries, the same constabulary goes up to the highest rank. Maybe we cannot do like that up to the DGP level. Same constabulary goes. So, but that DGP equivalent level, that may not be there, but there should be sufficient levels of promotion, and there should have self-respect, self-worth. When I have a self-worth, I will not do certain things below my dignity. But that is, the constables are made to feel no self-worth. They are also made as orderlies in the house of many of the officers. Not only police officers, they do it rampantly, and it's for the other departments or the four arms of the some other arms of the criminal judicial system. They are being supplied. Instead of that, instead of abolishing the orderly system fully, as a police officer, I say there should be some orderlies are needed, because they say 24/7 phones are there all the time ringing. There should be uniforms, so many accessories to be taken care of. They can be followers recruited. So otherwise an officer cannot survive. So then there's need of some media PROs, which takes away a lot of time of the police, and good work of the police is not brought to the society. So that also affects the image. That then we can have some professional media people at every level from district above. This needed, and major thing is that this we have to leave this vested interest. Somewhere it has to start from the topmost. And the federal structure is told to be a hindrance to that. But yes, it is there, but still the central government also can do much more. They can also release the police, the central police forces under them. I mean, from control to some extent. Madam Bhaguna told the freedom from political control. I may just, with humble respect, due respects, I would simply say that freeing off totally from political control is not the ideal thing. They only make it more difficult for the politicians to do as they please, make the options as less as possible. But the ultimate control in a democracy has to be with the political executive. So that has to be there. So, and the dual control of the bureaucracy and the political executive, that is the specialty of Indian police, has to go. So it is, I mean, we are all agreeable in that this has to go somewhere. Somebody has to start sincerely. Yeah. Somebody has to let go of the Westerners themselves and start doing it. Then there will be, definitely there will be improvement. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verma, for giving all the details. And he is also of the view that, but he says the politicians should be made such a difficult thing for the politician that they cannot interfere in it. But one thing we are seeing, the criminal who has been convicted who is coming out on parole, and he is giving jet plus security, and the who is protecting him, the police people, the inspectors, and what is the condition of the moral or ethics of those police fellows who have caught that fellow, the criminal who was supposed to be in the jail, and he's coming out and he's getting all the things, and he's become a boss there, not a so this is, we have to, that's reform are required. And I'm sure that when I'm talking to the advocate, that even for a parole, the one declaration should be taken from that convict, that if he is going out, it is his own security. He will not take any security from the government. Otherwise, why is coming now? He's for 21 days, he's a boss. He's going here and there with the police fellows are in his toes. So thank you very much, Mr. Verma. Lots of things are required to be changed. Yes, now I would like to invite my last but not the least panelist is Advocate K.C. Jain. Advocate K.C. Jain is a renowned social activist and Supreme Court lawyer. He is practicing law for last 42 years on the civil side. He appeared in Supreme Court and Allahabad High Court in several important cases. He is active on various social platforms of the city of Agra. He filed several PILs in Supreme Court regarding the RTI Act, etc. Recently, also, he filed a petition relating to road safety. His large number of articles were published in law journals. His articles were also published in many newspapers on various subjects, including environment, RTI, culture, etc. He has varied interest, especially in RTI and environment. Welcome, Advocate Jain, on our show. Advocate Jain, you have heard all our panelists, Dr. Naveen Gupta, Ms. Aruna Bhoguna, as well as Mr. M. Harisan Verma. They have given their views. Now, being an advocate, and you know the Supreme Court has come out very, they have given a judgment, they have fixed 7 directives, etc., etc. Nothing has happened. Otherwise, if anything, if the order is not followed, contempt can be filed, something can be done, but no one is interested, because who is going to file the contempt? No, the political will is not there, and other things. Now, we would like to know your views, keeping the judiciary in mind, in the police reforms in India. Advocate Kishan Jain, please. Please unmute. Please unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Lal, for inviting me and giving me a wonderful opportunity to share my views. I have heard all the esteemed panelists, and they have practically covered all aspects. We have imperfect past, imperfect present. How can we have the future perfect? That is the whole question which we should focus on. The recent report of the NIC was 28% increase in the crime. The conviction rate also shows to be a dismal one. In rape cases, only 1/3 were convicted. The percentage precisely was 39.1%. In kidnapping, it was 35.6%. That again was around 1/3. And in murder, it was 44%. More than 50% people were acquitted. Question is, what kind of system we do have which does not bring the criminals to punishment? We do have some shortcomings, no doubt about it. The Supreme Court has raised its voice several times, but nothing has improved substantially. We need a substantial change in the scenario. How is it possible? I would say that without political will, it would not be possible. We need political will, strong political will to bring change. But politicians, they never want any other organ to become stronger than what they are. Therefore, ultimately, it is the public which is to come forward, which is to raise its voice, which is to put pressure. It is the civil society that must come forward to put pressure on the political parties, on the government, on the functionaries that, yes, they want changes, because ultimately the changes are meant for the benefit of the masses, especially the weaker one, who don't have the say and who become victim to the system. Therefore, first of all, people should raise their voice and concerned citizens must do it to take the initiative. What you have also this series, this discussion is also, I believe, is a part of the same story of making people aware of their rights and asking them to come forward. The judicial activism is again another feature, another much needed area where the judges should take proactive actions. Point is, when the politicians don't make law, when they don't separate the investigation agency and the law and order agency of the police separately, they don't take the necessary steps as suggested by the Supreme Court, as suggested by various committees, then what is left? Ultimately, the judiciary must come. It is not that they are interfering or intervening the executive functions or they are running the government, but in fact, they are protecting the people. The masses are to be protected from the various evils. They are to be given justice, and for that, the reforms are needed. Therefore, what we would say is, public should come forward, the judiciary should take initiatives and must pass the orders time to time to see that their recommendations, their orders are implemented. As Mr. Lal has rightly pointed out, the judiciary must take steps. Let there be contempt applications. Let there be positive directions for the government to take a decision, because the government has to be forced for that. The most important reform should be to segregate and separate the investigation part agency of the police from the law and order. Then only there will be full focus. Then they will be insulated from the political influence, and specialized work is needed for investigating a crime. They will be able to focus and give a time delivery completion of the investigation, and the charge sheet may be filed. Therefore, we must focus this part of the reform very much. Madam and others have also talked, and you have also focused on modernization of technology. I say the face recognition software should be greatly used. Why not they can be used? We should have the data bank. Why not the Aadhaar information can also be utilized to find out criminals, though it may not be made the basis, but you can detect, because we have a problem of large population and it's very difficult to find out many a times who committed the crime. Therefore, why not the Aadhaar information can be a source of investigation and collecting the evidence. Modern weapons, mobility of the police. And I also believe that we should have an extensive photography of the scenario. We have to bring the changes in the system. Once we bring the changes in the system, then the political influence would definitely decline. And so will be the case of the corruption of the police. Therefore, we have to bring the system changes. If we have the extensive photography of the site of occurrence of the crime, if we have the videography of that place and that's placed on record, then the police cannot manipulate the facts. And so is the case with the recording of the evidence. Now the police records evidence and they can tilt and twist the facts, what they record. But we should have the videography of the recording of the evidence by the police, so that it becomes a part and police cannot put its own words as the statement of a witness. Therefore, we have to change the system of the functioning of the police to bring a system change. No doubt, the overburdened police is overburdened. You have given the figures that the actual strength is only 155.78 persons per lakh. We need to have a police-public relationship data. We should have the crime-police ratio. That ratio, whether it is public and police, whether it is crime and police, that ratio has to be maintained. Unless we do have, how can we expect the police to become efficient? when we can spend crores and crores of rupees, lakhs of crores of rupees for distributing freebies, but we don't want to bring the change in police system, that shows the lack of political will and our lack of emphasis in that. The underreporting of crime has to be changed. The police, the online FIRs, the online informations, that must be the part of the system. We should not depend on the police to record information or not to record an information. It should be something automatic. They may register it, they may not register it. If they find that there was a prima facie occurrence of a crime, they must register it. But we should not depend on the police that they may underreport the occurrences, because ultimately the society suffers the greater in that course. And they also reduce the gravity of the offense. There is a dacoity, they say that it is a theft. And so are the many other instances can be given. Therefore, we must see that the report system of reporting also improves. The delays and conclusions of the investigation must be avoided. They must be time-bound methods to conclude the investigation. The low rate of conviction may have many facets, but one of the facets is where the police officers have not performed well. They have not collected proper evidence. They have shown some lapses. Then such cases must be put in the part of the service record of the IU. The IU should be, there should be a system to record the success of the, in terms of conviction of every IU, so that they are serious. They know that their record will come against them. What I believe is that public is to come ahead. We have to bring changes in the system, and the judiciary is to become active. No doubt what Madam Bahuguna has said has much substance, and we all need to work cohesively to see that system changes, because ultimately the law of rule is to prevail. A criminal is to be convicted. It is not the magnitude of the punishment that deters a criminal to commit a crime, but it is the certainty. Any person who has committed a crime must be convicted, must undergo the sentence. Therefore, we have to bring a system where certainty of punishment is there. May not be that we put him behind bars for 20 years. Let it be 5 years, but it should be certain, it should be expeditious. And we need also to bring the changes in the criminal dispensation system. Thank you, Mr. Goel, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you very much, Advocate Jain, for giving your views. And Advocate Jain says that it's require overall changes, including judiciary should also be proactive. Judicial activism is required, and someone has to file the contempt if they are not executing. But he says the overall changes are required, but this is only possible if the political will be there. If the political will is not there, because politicians never want that anyone become more powerful than them. Thank you very much, Advocate Jain, for giving your views. Now my question goes to Ms. Aruna Bahuguna. Are you there, Ms. Bahuguna? Ms. Bahuguna, are you there? Okay, I think she's not there right now. So my question goes to Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma, my question to you is, you mentioned about the media. We have seen that the police is almost, I would say 90% cases showed in a very, very bad light in the films we have seen. Don't you think that those films or those serials are giving bad impact on the young mind, the child? When they watch the film, they feel that the police is like this. They always reach late. They are most corrupt, as well as the media. Like we are talking about the present media, they are also showing police in a bad light. Don't you think media should also be changed, reformed? They should also be said very clearly. After all, it's a very, very important organ of the society. If you always show them in a very poor light, what impact will be for the youth today about the police? What they will feel? What you say about this, Mr. Verma?
Mr. Goel, you have raised a very pertinent issue. Why say the film media portrays the police in such a bad way? Could be many. One, the films generally portray the opinion of the society or the opinion they want to impose on the society. And if you think of who finances the films, many of the films are financed by mafia fellows. So whom they dislike. This is the police. One another thing is why police is the hate piece for everybody is that it's the police which creates obstacles for everybody, including the common citizen. When a common citizen walks a certain distance, the police may stop for obvious law and order duty. So the police action is generally giving giving brickbats to the police and not bouquets. Like me, coming to the general media, the media also generally do not have the empathy to understand the difficult condition in which the police works. They want all sensation, and of course the opposition political parties always attack the ruling political party by blaming the police. So the media plays to that. So there should be, that's why I told, there should be media representatives in the police who takes up these issues, clarify these issues, and try to get the proper image of the
Okay.
and we have to be educated also.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Verma. Ms. Bhagna, are you there? Ms. Bhagna, are you there? No, okay. I will go to Advocate Jain. Advocate Jain, do you think today in India, like Election Commission, we have an autonomous body? Why not police in states, not in center? Police in state should also become an autonomous body where the DGP is like a chief election commissioner. He will not listen to anyone once he has been selected. He will be doing everything, enforcing all the things and showing that corruption free and fair policing in the state. What you say about this, Advocate Jain? Please.
Your suggestion at the first instance looks quite attractive, but you have to think that we cannot make police also a superpower without any control. Ultimately, in democratic system, the government is responsible to the public, and the public, therefore, how they manage the show, how they control the law and order, how they bring the criminals to prosecution and punishment is the direct responsibility of the government. Therefore, what Mr. Verma has also said that we should obviously try to make police insulated from the political influence, but we cannot make them totally independent.
Okay.
To make them another power in the
no, but Chief Election Commissioner is not that powerful. He is powerful but not corrupt, and they are doing very well job. We have seen in the elections. Ms. Bhagna, are you there? I can see you, Ms. Bhagna. Yes, please. My question to you is, what are your suggestions? How the image of the police can be improved? Any one suggestion which you want to give?
No, one thing I want to reply to what was said just now.
Yes,
I'm
please.
also saying that there has to be accountability. The question is accountability to who? So when you have accountability only to the chief minister who has a vested interest in the state, naturally it will not be an impartial or objective view. So yes, let there be accountability, but like I'm saying, like in Japan, some other countries, you have a committee or a board to who the DGP is accountable. So that board can comprise, anybody. It can be somebody from the political side, one from the judicial side.
Or retired officers?
No, one from a respectable person from society, civil society. It can be like that, a board of 3 or 5 drawn from different walks of life. Okay. So that is also what I want to say.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bhagna. Dr. Gupta, are you there? Dr. Gupta?
Okay. Yeah, please.
Are you there? Please switch on your video, Dr. Gupta. I can't see you. No, you are not there now. Okay. So Dr. Gupta, no, we can't see you. I think some network issue. Anyway, thank you. Time. There is no time. Otherwise, you are not. We can't see you, Dr. Gupta. Anyway, thank you. So viewers, you have seen today, our expert panelist has given their views. We always blame the police, but as our panelist and Ms. Bahuguna very rightly said, from the childhood we were told that, see, drink the milk, police will come. Why? It means first we have to reform ourselves. The civil society has to change the mindset of them own. If we will not change our mindset, how we expect the police? Because if we will create the hatred from the childhood, if we will create a fear, not the fear of the law, but the fear of a police personnel, that he is a bad person, this is not the correct thing. We should respect them. The children should be taught to respect the police, respect the law. If we will do it from the childhood, I am sure the vice versa, the police people will also give the same respect. But if they will get the hate, the time they will also feel sometimes so frustrated. Plus, they must get respect. They must also get the free hand, which they are not getting. Their hands are tied up by those who are in one way criminals, as there was a report that 50% parliamentarians are criminals with criminal record. What type of respect the police fellow will give, or they are bound to do? If they have to do, then what respect the society will give? So it's basically a problem is with the society, with the civil society. They have to change, they have to reform. And as one of the panelists says, that we have to put the pressure on the judiciary, we have to put the pressure on the government to see that they will get, the police people will get, personnel should get the best facilities so that they can serve us. They can serve without any fear, without giving any priority to anyone. Then only the reforms can take place. Otherwise, as our panelist says, that it is going worst, and it has become a house inside the termites are inside, and outside it is whitewashed with a very good paint and whatnot. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Karu News, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Gyan, as well as shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And in our end, we are to bring to you every day new topic in our media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Tomorrow our topic is music, medicine for soul. And our panelists are Dr. Rajiv Anand. He is the senior psychiatrist and marriage counselor, Mumbai. Mr. Sudeep Bhavdeep Jaipur Wale, renowned singer and music director, Mumbai. Ms. Sudhapi Rao, ex-teacher, social worker and singer, Bangalore. And Ms. Sandhya Mishra is a renowned singer at Mumbai. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Ms. Aruna Bahuguna. Thank you very much, Mr. M. Harisen Verma. Thank you very much, Advocate Kishan Jain. And thank you very much, Dr. Naveen Gupta, for joining and enlightening us with your views. And I'm sure our viewers are quite enlightened today, and they know the difficulties what police fellows are facing. So instead of blaming them, try to change yourself and try to blame those who are responsible for these deteriorating conditions and the behavior of the police.